Hey, what's going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone is having a great middle of the week. I'm Isiah, and Killgoon, unfortunately, won't be joining us today. He had some important things that he needs to attend to, but I've got Lermy with us today, and the show must go on. It's an exciting one. We're going to be going over Cupid, Poseidon, and Thor in-game a little bit later. All three of those gods can be headed to the SMITE 2 Battleground next week. But before we get into that, we had a couple patches go live yesterday, including some game balance.
Yeah.
So we should go over that stuff first before we go in game. So I will bring up the handy-dandy laptop.
Let's do it.
Boom. All right, yesterday we had two patches. The first one with some bug fixes. General, we fixed min-max voice output and microphone input volume settings to prevent distortion issues. We added player name highlighting on scoreboard and switch from report player to context menu pop out when selected. We increased the loudness level of the PS5 home screen lobby music, mostly in an effort to remove rapid patch flag. On the god side of things, Bacchus belly flop. We fixed an issue where the slow amount and duration weren't showing on this ability tooltip in game. Baron Samdi, we fixed the skulls on Vivid Gaze, displaying too high across all of his skins. And lastly, Nemesis, Swift Vengeance. We fixed an issue where the second dash was sometimes not firing when used just before time expiring. So
That's such a big fix.
I know, right? And then moving on, second patch yesterday, we had another bug fix to address Khepri's Scarab Blessing. We've gotten a lot of reports about the issue where people could get stuck in a state where they were just infinitely reviving.
Made some for some funny clips.
Some good clips, but not so
good
much.
gameplay.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that one's fixed up. And then moving on to God balance. Didn't want to shake things up too much because we've got super important playoff games happening over the weekend, but we did want to hit just some of the top performers based off of pro feedback.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, the first one on our list here is Jingwei, and obviously Jingwei has been kind of the top of the top out of the ADCs, but we've also seen a lot of up-and-comers to that role. You know, we've seen a lot of Kurnos has jumped up. We've seen, of course, Zeus and even Anubis get a little bit crazy in that role sometimes. So didn't want to bring the top end down too much, especially now that we've just done that huge strength pass and ADC item pass. We want to make sure that ADCs are still feeling like they have some really good, strong options, and we're not just taking an option away from them. So just a little bit of damage off on her clear and main poke ability to make sure that she's just not out clearing, especially in those first stages of the game. I mean, everyone knows from Smite 1 that Jingwei was a late game monster and pretty weak in the early game. So wanting to keep an eye on that as we go forward. But again, not too many big changes here, just a slight adjustment to keep the, things intact here.
Yeah. Next up for Sobek, Charge Prey increased the cooldown from 14 seconds at all rank to starting off at 16 seconds at level 1 down to 14 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So Sobek is another character that has kind of dominated the picks and bans. He's been very, very popular across the board as well, but especially since he's got that early game pressure. I mean, a lot of dashes, have seen their cooldowns come down over the years, but here's the thing about Pluck. And in the current state of Smite 2, considering that, beads is so limited behind either an active item or your one relic for the game, that it's just a lot stronger across the board. So we want to make sure that Sobek still has that same level of aggression come the late game when everyone's ready for that type of thing. But in the early game, it's a little bit harder to justify that being as strong as it was. So we're bringing it up in cooldown in the early game. Still will be the same when you fully rank that up.
Yeah. All right, and then the last god change, we have Zeus getting a nerf to Chain Lightning, decreasing the damage and increasing the cooldown by a second.
Yes, exactly. So Zeus. Where do we start with Zeus? We've definitely hit him a couple of times with nerfs, and we've tried to be gentle, these past couple of times, because Zeus kind of went from being the worst god in the game to the best god in the game overnight through a bug fix. And so we're trying to find out exactly where he should lie. The perception changed very quickly on him, so we didn't want to just take him, as soon as we put him back in, immediately take him back out of the god pool again, especially because, again, the god pool is a little limited right now. We're working on fixing that, of course, and adding a lot of new gods, and we'll talk about that later. But again, we wanted to kind of address the feedback as much as possible, take down that damage by a pretty significant amount. I mean, 10% scaling is really the big whammy here in terms of like what is the heaviest hitting part of this nerf, but basically across the board, that option is, getting taken down quite a bit.
Quite a bit. All right, and then our last balance change that went live yesterday in the patch, one under items, Hasten Fatalis.
Yes.
Seeing a nerf. Lots of conversation around Hasten Fatalis that we've seen. So we're decreasing the attack speed on the item. We're decreasing the movement penalty reduction per stack from 50 down to 33%, but we're increasing the stacks from 2 to 3.
Yeah, exactly. So Hasten Fatalis is an item that is, of course, infamous or famous, depending on how you look at it, for either how fun or how frustrating it is, depending on which side of the coin that you're on. And so the main idea around this nerf is to take down its ability to ramp up into the really fun, powerful, strong effect, and still allow you to get to that really fun point, but you have to be a little bit more skillful about it. The other thing is that it shouldn't be as stat efficient as it is. You know, it's not the most stat efficient item that we have in the game for sure, but we want to say this passive is so powerful that you will not be getting as strong of stats as they are. So we're bringing down the attack speed by just a little bit. You know, we're not trying to, again, completely kill the item, because it is fun for some players to be able to have that experience and, you know, run around really quickly and do all that fun stuff. But we want to make sure that, you know, again, you have to be a little bit more skillful about it, and it's not as efficient for the price, for the passive, etc.
All right, well, that's it for the patch is plural that went live yesterday. We had 2 go live. Again, we're not really shaking up anything towards the rest of the week because we got playoffs going on. But in terms of balance, I know Lermy is looking into having some additional balance coming up in the closed alpha 7 update. So we'll probably go over that maybe Friday, maybe next Monday, as we prepare for that update to go live early next week.
I know right now we're waiting on some more data from Max, especially for adjustments for Isiah, Khepri, and Nemesis are the 3 gods that we're just specifically looking to target. Isiah seems to be a bit on the stronger side of things, whereas Nemesis has of course had a couple of bugs that would make her a little bit weaker. And then Khepri's kind of been floating around in the middle, which is good to see, but we want to confirm with our stats, of course, to make sure, you know, that assessment is correct before we move forward with any further changes to him or the others. But we'll also have some more exciting stuff coming in the patch as well. I know that we're still working through anti-shield mechanics, which we talked about from the last time. That's been a really big topic of discussion. So I'm not 100% sure it'll be in CA7, but it's something that we're actively discussing and trying to get in the game at this point in time. So again, update on that for you guys. Another update is that Berserker Shield is also going to be getting a little bit of a shut up as well, because we still had continual discussions around making Berserker Shield feel better after its change. So that's another one that we're looking at. And just in general, a couple more parity fixes and just mix-ups in the role in general.
Yeah. All right, Lermy. Well, I think it's about time we give the people what they want, right?
Yes, let's do it.
So we've got Thor, Cupid, and Poseidon coming in closed alpha 7 early next week. Who do you want to show off first?
Oh, you know,
I'll leave the decision up to you.
Why don't we start with... Let's start with Thor. I feel like Thor is the classic, you know?
Give me just a second to get into game here. And we will show off Thor because he is iconic for sure.
He is iconic for sure.
All right. I am getting myself set up here, chat. Just give me 1 minute.
Pull up the list as well, the changes from our design team to make sure that we've got some exciting stuff to talk about.
And let's see here. Bear with me, chat. 1 second. I have so many buttons that I need to press. All right, let's see.
Let's do it. Yay.
I am going to pull up the laptop, and I believe I need to also unmute the laptop to get us audio here.
Oh, there's the sound.
And we can hear some stuff. We've got Thor in game. All right, Lermy, so walk us through Thor really quick while I get the bot set up.
Of course. So the first thing, I guess, which might be not the most obvious to you guys, but should hopefully be once you start to look at him in game and be able to turn him around and all that good stuff, is that he's had a model update. So he has a modified look to kind of get him up to the more modern standards of what belongs in SMITE 2. So he's got some adjustments to his cape and his armor and his hair, and across the board just feeling really, really nice and new and shiny. Very exciting stuff across the board in terms of the visuals. And of course, you guys can see there he's also got updated model as well for his wall. Very good stuff. But let's actually talk about the gameplay, because of course the visuals are nice. They're awesome. But I know that the meat and potatoes here will be about those gameplay changes. So the first thing I want to talk about is just a small quality of life change to Tectonic Rift, which is his 2. Thor is now able to cancel Tectonic Rift by refiring the ability. Yippee! I know we asked for this for a long time.
I got an error message.
Oh no, it's an ensure. That'll happen sometimes. Yep, that is still a little bit work in progress, of course. So anything that you see here today does have, you know, some amount of changes still to come.
Hey, we're in active development chat. You know? True alpha.
True alpha moment. But yeah, so Thor is able to cancel this ability. This was definitely a much harder thing to do in SMITE 1, but now that we're in SMITE 2, this was as simple as a couple of checkboxes, and it was very, very nice.
Maybe I should stop firing the 2 so fast.
It might have to do with, you know, some firing of the abilities back to back. So just nice and easy there, and then we'll probably be good. But yeah, this gives players a lot more control over the player blocking wall, similar to gods like Ymir and Anhur. And then we've also got a brand new passive mechanic, which is called Thunderstruck.
There we go.
So essentially, this is just an update on top of Warrior's Madness. Warrior's Madness will still stay. That's anytime you're near a god, you still get that power buff, which is still really nice. This was previously just tied to Anvil of Dawn in SMITE 1, and it's now shared with Berserker's Barrage in SMITE 2. So Thunderstruck is kind of the chain lightning effect that you would see after you ult. Now it deals damage to the initial target anytime they're hit by Mjolnir and arcs up to 2 times, damaging nearby enemies. After casting Berserker Barrage, you gain it for 3 seconds, and after landing from Anvil of Dawn, you gain it for 6 seconds. These durations can also stack. So if you Anvil of Dawn into Berserker Barrage, you can have it for up to 9 seconds. The damage also scales with Thor's level and his strength. So he is going to be a strength guy, pretty much through and through. So your strength will make those AoEs do a lot more damage, which is feeling really nice. And you have certainly seen the power of getting Thunderstruck.
Yes, that's super cool.
But yeah, that's essentially most of the updates here, but you can see that there's been a lot of sound updates as well. I know that the wall has had a really big improvement on the sound. It kind of really does have that kind of echoing, crashing thunder coming through. And it's so nice to actually be able to feel the impact when you're landing down from the ultimate as well. I know that's like one of the coolest feelings in SMITE just as a whole, is going up and slamming back down. So across the board, just humongous improvements for Thor in terms of those visual audio flares. And then the gameplay should also be feeling nice and new as well. Hopefully a couple nice quality of lives there. And across the board, I'm loving what we've been able to do.
The community's been waiting for Thor since Alpha Weekends.
I know.
It's just so awesome to be able to get him into the game. More thunder.
More thunder. Yeah, he's bringing it. He is bringing it for sure. He's also got, of course, the updated card art coming through. Got a new icon to kind of give him more of the like flair that we were looking for from Thor. Always a classic, you know, not changing the formula too much on one of the most iconic characters in SMITE of all time. So again, hopefully we have retained that iconicness from OG SMITE, but just bumped him up to the modern era and made him feel really nice, really smooth, and awesome.
That is Thor.
I can't wait
your
to
way early next week. I can't wait to see the Thor ults, you know?
I know, we're gonna see crazy Thor ults.
Oh my goodness. Did you just say you just can't wait to gank dual lane?
Yeah.
Is that the first thing that comes to your mind? Oh my gosh, Lemmy, please.
Listen, I'm gonna go sit in the Gold Fury pit. No one's gonna hear me, and I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna slam the wall, and I'm gonna get a double kill. It's just that easy.
All right, well that is Thor. One more Anvil of Dawn before we transition to our next character. All right, who do you think we should show off next?
I think we should do Poseidon.
All right, I'm bringing this back. Bringing us back here. And we will go over Poseidon. And I believe you've got some notes from Aggro on Poseidon.
Yeah, so Poseidon has also had a small minor visual touch up across the board. He, if you guys remember a little bit back on Titan Talk, oh god, I don't remember exactly what time it was, but it was at least a month ago where we had that poll about long beard, short beard. This is going to be long beard Poseidon is our default guy. But he's gotten a couple of touch-ups across the board. As you guys saw, he got the really nice new touch-up to the high poly model, which again gets kind of, I don't know what the exact art term is, but it gets like cast onto the low poly model to get those details kind of etched in, which feels really nice. So he is going to look really nice and crisp and clean. And updated water is always a blessing on top of the updated Kraken. The visuals are better than ever. And that's just kind of covering it on the visual side of things. But let's talk gameplay. The majority of his gameplay is revolving around Trident as an ability. So Trident is now a basic attack cancel. So any of you guys that love to do your quick basic attack cancels, basic attack Poseidon, it now does function as a basic attack cancel. But that's the small
not
change.
all.
That's the quality of life change. So let's talk about the actual +1 here, which is that if you use Tidal Surge, which is his one, while Trident is active, you make triple the waves. Yeah. You love to see a little bit of extra just water coming through.
Water.
Especially in those situations where, you know, you need to knock back, or you are, let's say like you're fatalising up to someone and you want to kind of like shotgun blast the knockbacks. That also feels great. You're also kind of doing a lot of that extra damage as well. So kind of boosting up the maneuverability of Poseidon, having a little bit more effectiveness in terms of, you know, if you're able to knock multiple people back, which is definitely new and exciting. Set even more people up with your Kraken Whirlpool combo. Feels really, really nice. Someone in chat says making waves with Poseidon changes.
Nice,
yes, indeed.
nice.
Yes, indeed. So a lot more control in terms of where you're going to be able to place people with Poseidon 1 and all of that good stuff. But of course, we've also got the updated timings for Whirlpool from SMITE 1 when we adjusted them earlier. I think it was earlier this year. Time flies.
I know.
But yeah, across the board, Poseidon, relatively similar, but with just a couple nice quality of lives and that really exciting +1 when it comes down to how you're going to be able to now affect team fights. Your positioning is going to matter a lot more as well in terms of how close you are to someone when you're using that one, and then what kind of other effects that you can do with those knockbacks, combos with your teams, etc. Kind of mind tricks a little bit as well. You know, you're so used to Poseidon just shooting the line that you know, maybe do to left and right. You can't do that anymore. Gotta be a little bit more careful around Poseidon, which is a very
I will say
cool
the auto 2 auto 1 combo feels really good, especially if you're just
really
like right in someone's face. Like that's a lot of damage really quick.
It really is. Yeah. Auto tech cancels are just so fun, and you know, Poseidon is a character that can kind of flex into not quite ADC, but slight ADC, right? So we want to make sure that you are still going to be able to have some of that cool potential with that build if you want to do that, or even like a poly build, or I guess you could go Hydras, but he doesn't have strength scaling. He's full in scaling, so I mean, go for it if you want.
People have talked about Mirrodin on Poseidon.
Oh yeah, Mirrodin on Poseidon will also go crazy.
Yeah,
double auto attack cancel could be nice and exciting. But across the board, that's pretty much all of the new features for Poseidon. Just a lot
Kraken looks so
visual
good.
updates. Yeah, I know. Bringing the Kraken over was a big task for
I
art.
gotta go out in the lane.
Yeah, we gotta look at it in the sunlight. Let's bring it out
in the full glory.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, we're releasing that in just a couple days.
Yeah. Poseidon. Water looks great.
Yes.
Effects look great. Whole team killed it.
I just love how like nicely things flow in and out, you know what I mean? Like there's no popping out. It's just all so sleek feeling and smooth feeling. I've been really, really impressed with just how well the art team has integrated these new gods in so quickly to make them feel right at home with everybody else.
Looks so good. All right, so that is Poseidon in SMITE 2 coming to closed Alpha 7 next week. And we saved your baby, pun intended,
That's true. That's
for
true.
last.
Oh, boy.
So I will bring up the cams while we get ready to show Cupid in game here.
Cupid is crazy.
Probably
crazy,
the biggest
crazy.
immediate visual change, too.
Yeah, are we able to, I was wondering, can we show the god screen for him
Oh,
first,
yeah,
since
1
people
second.
are really interested in the model?
1 second. I need to exit out. Boom, boom.
Cupid,
quit
Cupid.
match.
So excited for Cupid. My first diamond was
We'll
Cupid.
go to the god screen.
Yeah.
We've got Cupid. Make sure I have no spoilers. But I do have a big spoiler because chat hasn't seen this yet. Look at the god screen, chat.
Look at the god screen.
Lots of improvements here. Shout outs to, I believe, Jordan, Sayman. A whole lot of people really did this up. It looks really, really great.
Yes, this is going to be kind of the more general god screen. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about this, so I'm going to be very vague. But, you know, there is a lot of personality with some of these screens, and we're definitely looking to keep that kind of excitement and mythology theming really core to the SMITE experience. So you can kind of expect that this is going to be relatively the kind of treatment that you'll be seeing to the god screen coming up. And of course, we are making sure that things like the text is still readable on these screens. We had a big discussion about that, and just making sure that you are able to get all the information that you need across the board. But that's just the god screen.
I know, right?
Let's talk about the god
Let's go
on
in
screen.
game. The god on screen.
Yeah,
We're going in.
let's do it. So, Cupid, of course. Cupid is brand new modelified. He is using, of course, the rig. Well, I guess a modified rig from the cross-gen skin we
Yes.
saw earlier this year of the
Court Archer. Yes.
Court Archer Cupid. So this is a brand new model, a brand new rig, and brand new effects as well across the board for Cupid. I guess the other thing that we should mention is that Cupid's voice pack is going to stay the same. It is unmodified, same exact voice pack, same exact Cupid, and you'll know him as soon as you hear him.
Yes.
A lot of the iconic sounds have also been retained, but there's
a lot of new stuff.
A lot of things that have changed with Cupid.
All right. Well, I think we should go to the passive first, shall we?
Yeah,
nice
let's do it.
fancy passive meter here.
Yeah, we got a brand new passive meter. So here is the update to the passive. It now stacks up to 16 times instead of 8 times. And you might be wondering, well, Lermy, why does it stack up to 16 times? Well, that's because you are now able to consume it with your AO2 Share the Love. But before we get there, let's talk about why that happens. You also got a nice new visual. Visuals are
I
still
even
a
noticed that, yeah.
work in progress across the board here. So we've been having a lot of discussions on how to make these feel really, really good and really like core to Cupid, especially because he's gotten these, really heavy visual changes to him across the board. And I mean, look at those animations. Like it feels like Cupid,
It's great.
but it feels like he belongs in SMITE
Right?
with everybody else. And he just feels really, really still similar to
Right.
OG
He's
Cupid
going to sit
in terms
at
of
the
vibes,
grown-up
but
table next week for Thanksgiving, you know?
he will be at the grown-up table now, for sure. But let's talk about, I guess let's just show off the one, since that's one of the ones that has been relatively unchanged, but it's got a brand new look. I mean, look at those effects. Can we just say, like, our FX team has absolutely killed it with some of these details in there. Let's talk about the 2, though, because the 2 is where things start to get a little crazy. Cupid is a hybrid strength int scaler. He's got some int scaling in his kit. The first thing that we should talk about with this 2 is the fact that it now deals damage. And you go, Lermy, what do you mean it deals damage? There is a small circle that spawns whenever you use this ability. And in that area, you are throwing essentially another kind of heart bomb that explodes and then turns...
A heart grenade.
A heart grenade, yeah, you could say, that explodes into the 3 hearts. And you might also notice those hearts are in a different orientation than in SMITE 1. And that is essentially to allow you to be able to maneuver around with it in a couple of different new ways. So I know that Cupid players really like the ability to stack up their hearts on walls to be able to get really big heals at the same time. So we wanted to kind of try this new formation of them to kind of let you, number one, put it in front of you at max range and be able to walk into it almost instantly. So if you are just like straight up walking forward and use the 2 at max range, you will be able to basically walk into that 2 right away, which is really nice. The other thing that you can do is that if you kind of see how they're aligned, you can choose either to go to the center heart, to the left one, or the right one, and dash through those to pick them up essentially right next to each other. So kind of giving you the ability to do the heart tech without being so specifically worried about stacking them up. So that's the first bit of changes in the 2, is that does damage, orientation has changed. Not only that, the heal for Cupid scales off of int, and then there is a new kind of reason that the passive is consumed on this ability, and that's because when you consume the passive, not only are you doing the increased damage, the increased healing that has, but you are also granting your teammates a buff dependent on your strength and int. So if you're building on a strength, you give your team a big strength buff. If you're building on an int, you're giving your team a big int buff. But again, this is only on the enhanced version of the AO2 and not on the regular version. So you get some extra fun buffs to share with your team. Wanted to make him a little bit more supporty angle without really pushing him into the tanky support. You can kind of still have Cupid play as this more like, what's the word that I want to use? Kind of like buffer, essentially, is what he does across the board. So that is 2 in a nutshell. Is it now deals damage in the circle. He throws out a little heart grenade, I guess you could say. It explodes into the hearts that you know and love, and still heals you, still mana restores you, still does all that stuff. And then, of course, if you have that enhanced passive, you are then also able to give buffs. On top of that, though, the AO3 now provides attack speed on the barrier, so, or I guess the trail, I guess is something I should say. The trail, when you're standing on it, you grant attack speed to your team. You also still have an attack speed buff, so you, after using the ability, get attack speed for 6 seconds. The trail lasts for 6 seconds. If you're standing on the trail, you gain double the attack speed. And so again, more supportive ideas coming to Cupid as a hunter. Finally, the last set of +1s coming to Cupid is that his ultimate, of course, still very big, circle, explodey, very cool, very fun. But now, all allies that are inside it get healed.
Hold on. Let me see. Can I switch team? And
yeah, should be able to.
Here. Change team. Boom. There we go.
So his heal is a little bit nerfed on his 2. It does have scaling, of course, but yeah, this will do a burst heal to all teammates inside of the area. And the other set of changes is that it's going to have an increased efficacy of a stun now during the upgraded passive portion. So if it's enhanced with a passive, you are going to get a stun now instead of doubling duration of the mez, mostly because the double duration of the mez wasn't super useful in a lot of situations, so Cupid will get a stun now instead. We are definitely aware that adding a lot to this character's kit does, do quite a bit in terms of making him feel like he has a lot of useful tools, which is nice. We wanted to give Cupid players kind of that same familiar style of gameplay, but improve a lot of the aspects of him to kind of have that more supportive style and also be useful in carry as well. So, that was a lot of things.
A lot of things.
There were a lot of things with Cupid. I guess to TLDR you, passive, stacks 16 times. AO1, pretty much the same. AO2 now does damage, and it does consume the passive, so you get increased heal, increased damage. And then on top of that, if it is enhanced by the passive, you're giving it a buff. That scales with your stats as well. The 3 now grants attack speed on the trail. The ultimate now heals allies, and then it also stuns if it's enhanced. That's your super duper TLDR. You're welcome.
Well, I am so excited. Cupid just getting a lot of love,
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely keeping an eye on him because we know it's a lot of new features. We felt like Cupid was a really important place to do a lot of updates with because he is such a beginner-friendly character. I mean, he's one of the first characters that a lot of people played because he was so cheap in SMITE 1 in terms of favor cost. And he's also just a really recognizable god. Like, everybody knows Cupid.
Who doesn't know Cupid?
So we want to make sure that he's a really exciting god for a lot of those new players that are looking for someone to main. And across the board, if we need to nerf CC durations, if we need to nerf cooldowns, we're definitely open to doing that. A lot of this is a lot of experimentation. But hopefully a lot of these refreshes are really exciting to you guys too. I know they've been really fun to play test with, and hopefully a lot more skill expression as well with Cupid now that he's got even more things to aim, even more exciting ways that he can build, pathways that he can go into, being a hybrid, also having the in-scaling on his heal. It's just a lot of different ways that you can play Cupid, whether you're playing full strength, full int, full cooldown, full attack speed, full crit. He can do any of those things and still have some level of efficacy in that ability. There are some builds that will be stronger than others, but certainly the flexibility is what makes this character so incredibly cool.
Yeah, super sick. I cannot wait for Thor, Cupid, and Poseidon to hit the battleground.
I'm really excited.
Next week, it's going to be so sick. So shall we look at Ascension Pass stuff?
Yeah, let's take a look.
All right,
I'm really excited. These are some really funny memes, you guys.
I know. Our team just continues to kill it. So who do we look at first? Thor?
Yeah, I guess let's run back to Thor first.
Thor first. We'll go into Mastery and bring up the
it.
handy dandy
Shadow
laptop
Thor.
again. So we got our Shadow skin.
Yeah.
Up first for Thor. And of course, looks great. I love the cape treatment.
Yes. The cape looks so good.
He's just got aura,
I mean, yeah, he literally does, I guess.
All right, and then his tracker, double taps.
Of course.
A great tracker,
Gotta have the double track.
The amount of double taps that you hit with Mjolnir off of his one. Then
Of
course, clap emote.
Classic.
You've got your objectives destroyed. You've got your god assists. His other unique tracker, Ground Shaker, the number of times Thor has landed his Anvil of Dawn ability on 3 or more gods. Hit those big Thor ults.
Yep.
Get that tracker going. You love it. All right, next up, the
so
Onyx skin at level 5.
Oh, it looks so cool.
The classic.
So classic. The black and gold looks really good on Thor.
So clean. And then, of course, we've got the Opal.
Dang.
I love the purple.
The purple is really nice.
Oh, the cape is great.
The cape is really awesome. I love the yellow going on, like the orangey yellow going on in the hammer as well. just really kind of connects it back to
Oh,
that
the
lightning.
hammer
You know
looks
what I mean?
sick. Oh my goodness, I didn't even noticed that.
Hammer is awesome. I love the opal skin so much. This is such a good look for Thor.
All right, and then of course we got to meme a little bit. The global emote. Like really, it's great.
Oh yeah.
Art team continues to kill it with the global
Always.
emotes.
They're always doing it.
And then you've got your wave emotes. Of course, the title is Thunder God.
Thunder God.
Nice, nice. You got your God kills. You've got your badge. And then, of course, you've got Radiant Thor at level 10.
So shiny.
Great.
Dang, the white cape
The
as well.
hair, though.
I know. I love that we're like changing up the hair color and stuff like that on some of the gods as well.
It looks great.
It looks insanely good.
All right, and then we've got card effects.
Oh, the hammer.
Nice.
Drop
Looks
the hammer.
good.
Dang, that's awesome.
And, of course, you've got the lightning on the sides. And I think the hammer will come back, too.
Yeah, every so often. Dude, I just love the treatment on these borders as well. It's been such a nice step up, and I just love having this be like the final like
It's
tracker
so good,
reward.
right?
It really like shows you right now like how dedicated to specific gods that you are that you're able to get these.
See
They're
people
so
in chat
cool.
saying, sheesh.
Sheesh is right, y'all.
I know,
Sheesh
right?
is right.
Sheesh is right. All right. I'm going to bring us back to cams here so I
Yep.
don't spoil anything
No
and get in trouble.
spoilers. No spoilers. Sorry.
All right. Poseidon. Up next.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Let's do it.
Laptop. And we've got your Shadow Poseidon here. Dark and brooding.
I love the like blue accents towards like the end of the tail capes there. I don't even know what you'd call those things to be honest, but they're cool. I like
it
them.
looks great. And then, of course, the tracker is time at high tide. Missing description here. I'm sure that'll be fixed up.
Yep, there should be, I suppose, amount of time that you're at full stack of your passive. That's what I would guess, at least.
And then you've got your clap, of course, objectives, and god assists. Feeding the Kraken is the second unique.
I love that name.
The number of gods and jungle bosses that you've killed with Release the Kraken.
Gotta be.
Next up, you got your Onyx.
Oh, the orange looks so good in this one, too.
It's great.
I love, like, the little tertiary colors.
I love, like, the
sparkles?
The sparkles on the scales.
Yeah.
Looking great.
Dude, yes.
And then you've got Opal.
This one's got to be looking good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This one
Opal
looks great.
beard?
Ooh.
I love that. I love that.
My man's went to the hairstylist.
Once again, I don't know what to call them. They look great.
Like back capes a little bit?
The back pant capes.
Looks great. And then, of course, the global emote. So refreshing.
So fabulous.
Oh, this is great.
That's so funny. I love that.
And then we got your wave, and the title is Wave Rider.
Oh,
I like that one.
That's a fun
good
one.
And of course, you got
that.
your God Kills tracker, your badge, and then Radiant Poseidon.
Wow. He looks so regal.
I love the white and gold. It's great.
It just looks so clean. I mean, like, Poseidon already has had, like, you know, the kind of gray beard, but like the full, like, stark white and gold and a little bit of that, like, yellowy, orangey color there as the tertiary. Just feels so nice.
It looks so good.
So clean.
All right, and then we got the card effects.
Well, let's do it.
Nice, and
Deep
got
sea Kraken.
some waves here going on. Looking good.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Just super chill waves, you know?
Chill vibes before
Chill
you get
vibes.
Krakened in your face, you know?
Yeah, as soon as you roll up and you see a guy with this border and the what is it, Kraken?
Oh, feeding the Kraken, yeah.
tracker.
You just know you're about to get hit with an ultimate.
Killgoon says, this frame isn't done. There are tentacles in the finished version.
Nice.
Excited for that one.
What's up, Killgoon? Hope everything is going okay with you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us in chat. All right, and then last but not least, we'll go in game. Not in game. We already went in game. We'll show off the Ascension Pass for Cupid. And bring up the laptop one more time.
This shadow skin is so cool.
It's great. It's like an evil little kid.
He's just an evil little guy.
He almost looks like he has like devil horns.
Yeah,
his hair.
a little bit.
It's like, what's going on, Cupid? Like, all right, and then his tracker, Hearts Pierced. Number of times an enemy was stunned by Heart Bomb or Fields of Love. That's a good one.
Yeah, Heart Pierced.
You got your clap.
This is a new animation too.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that with the new model and all the new animations. We've got your objectives destroyed, your god assists. The other tracker is Love Spread. Number of times allies picked up his Share the Love deployable. So the number of times people just picked up the heart, you know? I love it. Next up, we've got the Onyx skin.
This is just so clean. Absolutely.
I love it. It's
Clean
great.
skin. I love the gold laurel as well. I think it really just adds to the contrast there. And the little bit of gold flecks on the ends of the wings, just so solid across the board.
This is great. I can't wait to see
Absolutely
the opal.
Yes. Oh, look at his little arrow as well. It's got
I
a nice
know.
little gradient going on. Yeah, you'll see a lot of that like kind of crystalline arrow vibe, which I think looks really, really nice. I just love the purples. The purples are so fun.
I love the purples. And this is probably my favorite global emote we've done.
It's so funny. Overkill.
Oh, man. Oh, man. This is so good. Oh, it's great. I'm sure all my Dragon Ball enjoyers will get this in chat. Yeah, Yamcha's dead. Oh, it's great. Next up, we've got the wave. Oh, that's nice. Oh, a little heart at the end, too.
Yeah. So
Let that one play again.
Yeah, do it again. Do it again.
I love it. It's great.
Cute.
All right, and then the title for Cupid is lovely, fitting for Cupid.
Absolutely.
You've got your God Kill badge, and then, of course, the badge here, and then the Radiant skin for Cupid.
This might be like one of my favorite Radiant skins ever. It just fits him so well.
It's just super angelic, right?
Yeah. The gold accents as well, and I just love the like glowiness that we get here. It's just so punchy from all those like super highlights like in the arrow and in the eyes as well.
His wings are super bright here, and I love like the gold accents on them. They look so great.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it, love it, love it.
All right, and I believe we've got card effects here as well. I believe there's supposed to be some hearts around here as well. Probably still work in progress, but as we get, continue to get moving, I'm sure it'll be looking
we'll have
as lovely as
ready
ever.
To go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have
As
the hearts.
lovely as ever, huh?
All right, well, that is our in-game showcase segment for Cupid, Thor, and Poseidon, headed to Closed Alpha 7 early next week. I believe the plan is to flash test a little bit later today after the show, so keep an eye out on our official Discord and social media channels. If you want to hop on SMITE 2 PTS and try out Thor, Cupid, or Poseidon, this afternoon is your chance.
Yeah,
So.
and a reminder, you can stream those as well and make content out of them. Yeah, so if you want to do first look at new gods for the patch, definitely do that. I'd love to see what you guys have to say about them, any of that good stuff as well. Very, very excited to see what you guys think of these changes.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on the Discord for feedback. We'll be tuning in on streams, definitely to get your all's early thoughts on Thor, Cupid, and Poseidon. Super exciting patch. 3 iconic gods coming to the SMITE 2 roster. I'm just so pumped. It's going to be a great week next week.
Some of the favorites of the roster. I know that people have been waiting for Thor.
It's going to be so good.
I can't wait to see when he gets playable at these upcoming lands as well. We're going to see some
we're gonna get the hype
cool
plays.
dunks. Oh, man. Can't wait.
I know, right? All right. Well, we are at 1:40. We've got about 20-ish minutes or so left. So let's just hang out.
Let's
answer some questions. Chat, what do y'all want to talk about today? What's going on? Drop the patch now. I wish. I would just go to my desk and play SMITE 2,
Yep. Let's see. Can you make Cupid's one be able to attach to allies and have a heal explosion? I would be worried about doing that on top of the current effect of the one, just because it is like something that you'd have to have that extra layer of aiming. Right now you can already hit minions and not just gods. So if you're having to dodge and juke your allies, yourself, that's probably an extra step that would be a little bit too difficult for the Cupid player to manage. There's just a lot of what's the word that I want to use? A lot of things that you have to aim at.
Yeah.
And, limiting some of those things from being hittable or not does make it a little bit more clear on, what those options are for you at that moment.
Let's see here. Someone asked, is there a chance to make Poseidon's beard blue again? I would say probably not. I think we're pretty satisfied. Maybe a skin down the line, but I think we're pretty satisfied with the base model.
How do you guys decide the order of who to add to the game next for old gods? Well, there's a lot of things, actually. One of the most important things comes down to what does the community want to see next? What are you guys going to be excited for? And certainly, I know that people are excited for Thor, Poseidon, Cupid. But of course, we've kind of already released that list of the first 50 that we're working on. A lot of those guys were decided in a combination of these guys are really popular, exciting, going to get the community exciting, and it's also going to allow us to develop, most importantly, new tech to make sure that we can continue to build forward for other gods. Things kind of have to go in a step-by-step nature. So as gods get more complicated, we'll want to be able to have time to build up those tech pieces that we need to actually make them function. So that is a really important piece of what goes into deciding who comes next. So for instance, I know a lot of the tech around, the Kraken was really big in terms of making sure that we can keep those deployables looking nice and able to transfer some of those models and really give them the upgrade that they deserve. That does also account into some of the time and order decision, is like, how do we take a Kraken, which is this crazy model. I mean, it's a little bit old too, right? And really make sure that it's updated for the fidelity and visuals that players would expect from a game like SMITE 2 that's coming out in 2024.
All right, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. I saw a question that I wanted to answer, and I totally missed it. Oh, someone asked if the Thor and Poseidon cross-gen skins would be coming out next week, and I believe they will not be. We're focused on making gods right now. We had a couple of cross-gen skins come out in the last patch, but they were just already kind of done and in the bank, what we like to, as we like to say internally. But for the Thor and Poseidon cross-gen skins, I don't think those are ready yet. Probably towards January is when we'll probably get those skins in.
All right, chat has been asking a lot about the Cupid voice pack. And I would say in general, it's not that we are 100% the way that you guys are phrasing, 100% married to keeping.
They're just thinking about love,
I guess that's true, yeah. We're not 100% married to the old Cupid voice pack, but it is really iconic.
Yeah.
It is a part of SMITE's history and a part of SMITE's SMITE Cupid's character that we did want to make sure that we were keeping in the game to kind of preserve that history and do it justice. It is definitely something that we talked about in terms of changing, but again, it's not something that we can just do overnight for nobody, things like that. It comes with a lot of extra steps that go with it to make sure that we're able to pay the voice actors and pay the producers and make sure that we're able to get, those auditions feeling right, the script written or whatever it might be, to make sure that feels correct and everything that something that everyone would be happy with as well. That was the other concern, was that is a change going to make the majority of people happy? And we weren't honestly 100% sure that it was going to, so that is why we didn't do it, because we were concerned about, where's the Cupid that I know? This isn't my Cupid. Things of that nature. We wanted to make sure that people still felt like, yes, this is Cupid, but this is SMITE 2 Cupid. And he's feeling definitely a lot improved on the visual side of things, but I can definitely understand the concern with making that voice pack also match that appearance.
Let's see here. Who's going to be the gods for the patch after this? We were talking about this during the break. It's another big one. We've got Aphrodite, Medusa, and Pele on around December 10th is the patch for after closed alpha 7.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Nice little Thanksgiving break right into a couple more new gods. Do you know where I could find the full splash arts for the characters? The community Google Drive has had card arts, but not the full ones with the whole background.
Yeah, so I believe the way the team is working right now, only brand new card arts are getting the full, like, kind of 16 by 9, 1920 by 80 treatment. So Cupid, I believe, does have a full version, but for some of the older gods, a lot of them didn't have like full widescreen versions of the card art. So as we're reforging them, we just continued to work off of the portrait version. So that's why we've been updating those.
Cool.
Can we expect something similar to the RuneScape progression system from SMITE 1? I mean, with trackers is something like that. It's on a god-specific level. I know we don't have any plans for anything that's like account level right now, but I know we're always thinking about new tracker ideas for characters. So I believe that's kind of like a system where you've got something that you can track per character.
Yeah, that has definitely been, I know it was one of the biggest requests going into SMITE 2 is having more of those, well, number one, having trackers back was a humongous request. And having those individual character trackers are just so nice, especially for the character mains out there who want to say, I've got a million Aphrodite kisses, look at me go, or, whatever it is. For Thor, I have hit 1,000 people with the triple ultimate. I imagine that is going to feel really, really nice for those characters that want that. And of course, in the future, we could always do more of those things. If there are things that you feel like, I wish I was able to track XYZ thing on this god. let us know. It might be a possibility for the future.
Cool. I saw a question about potentially adding more gods to the AI bot list, and that's something I can pass over to the gameplay team.
That's not something I know much about.
I'm not sure how long it takes. I know the bots have been getting a ton of love and a ton of work. We've gotten a lot of compliments on how well the bots are playing and behaving in those custom versus AI matches. So
and they're always getting improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I can definitely pass that along to the gameplay team.
Do you guys have ideas beyond the first 50 gods? Do you know who the next 10 will be after the 50 are done? We're, I think, in the process of deciding that right now. Nothing is set in stone, of course, and things are subject to change as they always are. So even some of the things that we've talked about before, you know, depending on how things go, they could change. But we are, in general, discussing that at this point. It's not that we're going to get to 50 and just hard stop. You know, we got to make sure that things keep on going, the plan stays on moving, and we continue to get those gods in for you guys, even through next year as well.
Smite 1 had the ability to set individual abilities to instant cast, while Smite 2 only has global umbrella settings. Can we get the Smite 1 system for that at one point? We should have that system.
It does work.
And it does apply on a character-to-character basis. So right underneath the global cast setting, there should be settings for ability 1, 2, 3, and 4 that you could change individually for whatever your preference is.
Yeah, it's not the most clear right now. We're definitely going to be working on improving that, especially as we get updates to the K screen and things of that nature. More of those familiar ways to change those settings and more visually clear ways will be coming. But right now, every single time that you load onto a different god, those settings will be different and they will save for those gods. So even though it doesn't say specifically, you know, I've loaded in as Thor and I set my 1 to instant cast. If you load up as Cupid, your 1's not an instant cast. So you got to make sure you set those for each individual god. Or if you don't care for those specifics, you can just set the global and it'll change it for everything.
In all caps, why did you turn Cupid into a preteen instead of keeping him a baby with better graphics? And I believe we talked about this before when we had Ben on, and the goal was to bring Cupid to the same level as like other characters in the Smite universe that are around that age, like your Scyllas, your Charybdises. I know people love the baby with the big head, but we really wanted to bring him up visually to a level to kind of match those other characters.
He just feels like he belongs in the universe now. For a long time, Cupid has kind of felt like a little like chibi essentially. He's just got a big head, little tiny body, and it did work for Smite at the time that it released. It was a little bit more of a more cartoony game, and it did feel in the style of Smite then. However, Smite style has evolved and changed over time, and we've tried a lot of new things, and you know, some things have stuck and some things haven't, and that style is one of the things that didn't really stick throughout the years. But we do think that in general, he still feels like a cheerful little kid, little cherub flying around, and he does keep a lot of those like kind of playful, a little bit arrogant, a little bit, you know, ignorant kid type feels.
Yeah, even in the animations with like the wave and the clap and stuff that we saw in the Ascension Pass, he's still got the spirit of Cupid for sure.
Yeah, he definitely has the same vibes in terms of those animations. It will just be a lot easier to actually see them now because it's not 90% head and 10% body. I know that was really, really important. Bringing Cupid over was making sure that the animations read well, because in Smite 1, his animation, especially with his little body, is just I'm firing one. It really is not that much. So again, giving him those more dynamic animations was such a big benefit that we felt like this change would be really, really positive.
All right. Does Cupid Dash still have the permanent attack speed passive buff on the AO3? Also, does Cupid's AO2 go over walls?
Cupid 3 does not have the permanent attack speed anymore. This is because we bumped up the values on the stim, and also the fact that you're sharing it as well means that while it's not permanent, you have a really strong stim in your kit now. And yes, it is tied to using your 3, but the extra team utility is just so powerful that we felt like we wanted to keep that more skill rewarding versus you just get it all the time. The AO2 also does go over walls, so you can fire it over walls. You know, there is a projectile that he actually throws, and you'll be able to see that. There's warning effects and things like that for the area that you're getting hit in. So hopefully all of that feels really good and reactable, and that timing and stuff feels really nice and natural. That was one thing that was really important to us, was to make sure that even though we're doing these changes to this 2 that are really heavily, drastically different than Smite 1, we want to make sure that the feeling and the timing of the Smite 1 hearts coming out still is very, very similar
Yeah.
and really easy to get used to when you actually play him in Smite 2.
Cool. All right.
Can we have an anti-shield item? We kind of talked about this
Yeah.
earlier. In progress.
Yes,
Don't know for
I was
when.
going to say you want to give just a teensy. I know it's still in progress. We can't
Yes.
promise it for next update, but I know that's something that you all have been talking about a lot over the past week.
Yeah, so even mentioned earlier in the show, we were definitely working on the anti-shield tech to make sure that's feeling good for you guys across the board. Find a couple of places, hopefully, to make sure that the option is there for whoever may need it.
Yep. I've seen this report. I'm just saying it out loud so I can remember it. On console, the upcoming gods are not listed. And I saw another report as well. So that's something I'm going to follow up on. If you could tell me what platform, just so I can get clarification for the team.
The VVVD command does not show ultimate ability cooldown like in Smite 1. I think that is known. I think we just don't have the actual tech that goes into pulling that information to the VGS quite yet. I know it's something that we're keeping an eye on, but I'll bring it up and see, what we can expect to be able to do something like that for.
I've got you. Oh, PS5 and Xbox. All right, cool.
Cool.
Thanks, chat, for letting me know. I will definitely pass along to the team. Can we get auto attack anti-heal item? We've talked about this before. Lermy, you want to give a little bit of insight on that?
Yeah, at this point in time, we're not specifically looking at auto attack anti-heal because we have a lot of different options already available. We do think that it's a bit of a advanced strategy to buy a tier 1 and then not finish it, but that is an option right now that you can do if you don't want to commit a lot of gold to an anti-heal ability. But you also have things like Brawlers and Divine if those things are applicable to you. Ruinous Ankh is also another good option across the team. But again, being able to buy, I think it's Ruinous Poison for 300 gold and just have that application for, again, 300 gold is the cheapest that anti-heal has ever been other than, it being free in relics. So in general, we think that that is enough to cover that for now while we are putting a lot of our focus on gods.
Yep.
And the more important thing for us to cover right now is anti-shield, since that doesn't exist at all in Smite 2 right now.
All right. Do we all look at Reddit or Discord more for feedback? I would say we don't prioritize a platform more than another platform. And it's not just Reddit and Discord. We've got the official surveys that we look over for every update that get thousands and thousands of responses that we go through.
I mean, me personally, I'm looking at Twitter, Discord, YouTube, Reddit, Twitch chats a lot of time. I know there's some people that look at Facebook from time to time as well. And just a lot of other platforms to make sure we're getting as much feedback as humanly possible because right now, guys, we
never
need the
enough feedback.
Never enough feedback. So please continue to provide it wherever you see fit. And even if we don't address your question today, do know that, we have the record of this chat. We will be able to go and look back at it. So don't think that we're ignoring you guys. We are reading the questions. There are just some that we can answer a little bit more clearly today. So again, thank you guys so much for all of the questions and the feedback. It is really, really valuable to all of us. And I hope you guys really do understand that we truly appreciate it. So thank you very much for choosing to spend your time with us today.
All right. I've seen it a couple times in chat just for a couple things. Outside of game item builder is something that the team is currently still investigating and looking into. Don't have any ETA or updates on when you all can expect that, but just know the team is looking at it. Text chat also in progress. That's something that we talked about in our first 50 God show. It's going to require a full certification cycle with PlayStation and Xbox. So I would think probably towards January if I were to assume for text chat. And that's, of course, depending on if we're able to get things polished up and the feature finished and stuff like that. Then go through a full round of certification with console partners in order to get that shipped in game.
Does Cupid Heart Bomb still highlight red if it's a stun for enemy? Yes, it does. It does. Yeah, I know. Setting that up, at least on my end, to make sure that FX had a lot of that stuff available was really important. And hopefully it will still be very readable for you guys too. I know we've been going through a lot of iterations really quickly on those visuals. So again, if you guys get a chance to play him in the flash test later and you have feedback on those visuals, please feel free to pass those along too. We're still working hard to make sure that that's going to look really nice for you guys.
would it be possible to make Nim 3 go on cooldown immediately? Would make Pendulum Blade feel so much cleaner.
It's possible. Does it break a lot of other things?
Maybe.
I did work on Nemesis myself.
Yeah.
The unfortunate reason that I can't answer that question is that ability had to go through a couple of refactors, which essentially means that we had to move around how it was working just due to the way that it was calculating damage and then returning healing back and things of that nature, and just how it was applying as well. Just required programming to kind of get their hands on it and make sure that they were able to move things around. So I actually don't know how big of a change that would be and how possible it is at this time, just because, again, we are needing to continuously move forward with the schedule.
Yeah.
So if it requires programming attention, it's likely that it will have to wait for a little bit. But I would say it's not impossible that it could do it. It just will depend, again, on the actual, I'm going to use the word severity, but don't think of it as like a scary thing. The severity of that change in terms of like, you know, who is really equipped to do that. If it's something that I can do, maybe I can do it, but I don't know.
Are you planning on releasing any teasers for new gods like you did in Smite 1 for the new god in January? So I will say that the team is currently thinking about how do I say it? The rollout plan for the all new Smite god that's going to be coming out in January. I won't say that it's going to match exactly what we used to do on Smite 1, but the new character is really exciting, and we're definitely going to be doing our best to get you all excited in any way that we can.
It's a very exciting new character. I can't wait to show you guys, but not today. Not today. Are all hunters going to be hybrid? No, not all hunters are going to be hybrid. I will say, I feel like this is fair game to talk about just because we already revealed them. But Medusa coming up next is planned to be a hybrid scaler, whereas Ram, who is planned for a little bit later, I think it was either probably the second wave in January, I think, he is planned to be only strength scaling. So not every hunter is going to be hybrid, but where you feel it's appropriate for characters that have a little bit more of that, like, not as physical is a word that's going to confuse you guys, not as like visceral kind of you know, strength-based attack, but it's based more on skill, based more on like kind of other sources outside of just brute force. Like Medusa's got a lot of the acid spray and venom and gaze and things like that, and that makes a lot of sense for that to be in scaling. But things like her 3 that are like super heavy slash attacks or just basic attacks in general make a lot more sense for them to be scaling of strength. So Medusa makes a lot of sense in that regard. Ram, not so much. He's a lot of basic attacks, a lot of just very again, like strength oriented. I'm trying to find the right words because I know that people get very confused between strength is physical and just magical. It's not that. It's very different. Think of int being more like skill versus magic, whereas you have like brute force versus like skillful, agile attacks, or things that are like more of that
what's the word?
Magical. I'm really trying, guys.
Trying to avoid physical and magical. They're
not the same. But I know it's been a very you know, new system for a lot of players, so we're trying to make it as digestible as possible to keep that as straight as you can in your mind.
Let's see. I saw a good one that I missed. Saw a couple people ask, are there any gods that will get a Cupid level remodel when transitioned to Smite 2? I will say probably not in the first 50, but past that, I mean, everything is on a god by god basis, right? We look at each character and, you know, kind of assess their needs. Cupid was one that we felt needed, you know, a little bit more love in the visual update department, but as you all have seen with like Godlike Thor and who else did we show off? You know, getting those subtle changes, but really do make them pop and stand out a little bit more.
More details, more.
Nemesis got a lot of love.
Yeah, Nemesis also is another one. Yeah, so there are some gods that will be getting that level of change, but not really many that I can think of at this stage of the game right now that are getting complete model reworks like Cupid is. I mean, Cupid had not only the model, he got the rig as well, which means you know, he has to have new animations on top of that. So that's just like 3 departments that absolutely worked their butts off to create this whole new thing for Smite 2, which was absolutely a Herculean effort. But it turned out so well, and I'm really excited for you guys to get your hands on them.
Next week or later this afternoon with the flash test.
So excited.
All right, we are at 2 p.m., so it's time for one more question. All right, let chat fill up a little bit more, and then we'll take a couple more questions before we call
Let's see. When will the auto attack tooltips be updated to show base damage? That's something that we're working through right now. We're trying to find the best way to show your basic attack damage right now visually, because it doesn't show up on the side UI where you have like all of your stats right now. So we're trying to kind of find a way to tie things in to fix those up for you guys and make sure that that stat is very visible, because right now it's just not. So it is on our list of things that we're looking at right now in terms of the design team, but it also does involve the UI team as well. So it will take a little bit of time to make sure that all of that stuff gets fixed up. But it is something that is a priority of ours to get fixed, because right now it is totally broken on all characters, and that's totally understandable why you guys would want that fixed, because I want to know how much my basic attacks are going to do.
There you go.
Very fair. Very fair.
All right. And I think for my question, I am going to take... Maybe you can chime in on this, Lermy, but will there be more things with the interact feature coming soon?
Oh, I would say yes, but not. I'm trying to limit expectations here in a way that makes sense. How can I explain this? We are testing more features that use the interact feature. Will they make it all the way to live? Who's to say? We will definitely get feedback from our ambassadors, of course, and our internal playtests to see if these features are going to stay around. In terms of, what those features are, I'm not going to give any further information than we're testing more stuff. So definitely take that information with a grain of salt, because it's not 100% confirmed that these things are going to stay, and it's not 100% confirmed that these are going to be big interact things, but it is something that we are very interested in trying more things with, and seeing what kind of cool things we can make with the interact button. I mean, it's a huge new feature
for sure,
going into SMITE 2. So again, absolutely no confirmation as to what kind of features they are, what kind of scope they are, but it is something that we are interested in testing, and of course no confirmation of when they will come.
Cool. All right, chat. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us during your Wednesday lunch break. This has been the latest edition of Titan Talk. Again, closed Alpha 7, hitting live servers early next week. But if you want to try out Thor, Cupid, and Poseidon a little bit early, be sure to join our official Discord at discord.gg/SmiteGame game for news on when flash tests are going to occur. Believe we should be having one hopefully within the next couple hours or so this afternoon. Definitely looking forward to seeing everyone get their hands on the 3 new gods joining the roster next week. We'll be back on Friday with another edition of Titan Talk. But until then, we will see you all on the battleground. Peace out.
Bye.